Good evening, everybody. My name is Karan Vaid. I work for DogSpot, and we have a very special guest today. We have with us professional dog trainer, dog walker, and pet relocation expert, Anand Vishwanath. Hi, Anand. It's great to have you here. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Sure. Hi, Karan. Thank you so much for having me here on your show. I think it is a great opportunity that I can come here and share my experiences with some of the pet lovers, pet owners here. Like we were just starting off, right? So, I run a company called Anvis Inc, and then we offer pet services like dog walking, pet sitting, home boarding, puppy training services. Pet relocation, of course, is really one of our key areas of focus. We have also very recently launched what we call as a pet academy, where we are trying to give out to people the learnings that we have gathered over the years. This is with a bunch of experts along with me. We're coming with modules. People can go online, read about it, understand a lot about dogs as well as cats. So we've also got a cat expert online.
So we have, yeah. So, Anand, before we talk about that, can you just tell us about you? Because I read in your, in your introduction, and we chatted, you spoke about. You've been doing this for some time now. You've been doing this for about 10 years. You started way back in 2010, and you were an engineer. By profession, and by education and by profession, you had been working in engineering for a good 10-15 years, I believe. Am I correct? And then you left all that. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Hi, Weasel. Hi, Linus from Singapore. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. So you're right. So I was an engineer. I was working in the IT space, like a lot of people. But at some point in time, things sort of started getting to me. And after 10 years, and my last job that I held was actually I was heading a recruitment, heading recruitment in a software firm in Bangalore. After one time, I think just work started getting too much, the pressure started getting on. And then I said, hey, maybe I should just take a break, maybe take a sabbatical, do something that I really like. And dogs have always been a part of my life, right? From my young days. I remember very, very fondly that we used to have an indie dog way back in the early 80s. We used to have an indie dog, and that was really my first dog. And they have always been, bringing in, some sort of a peace, happiness to me. And I said, hey, I need to do something with dogs. So what I wanted to do really was I wanted to spend time. I figured that, hey, why don't I walk dogs? And that's how I became a dog walker. So I would really go maybe from one end of the city, probably drive about 100 kilometers to walk one dog.
Sorry, this is in Bangalore, right?
In Bangalore, that's right. Yeah, in Bangalore.
So it's a bit of a problem in Bangalore. I'm pretty sure you have to go as well.
Oh yeah, I would leave at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. to reach.
So how did you start? You said, okay, I'm going to quit. Which is, or I'm going to take a sabbatical, is what you said. I'm going to take off for a little while. I'm going to try to focus on what I really want to do in my life. The stuff I love doing. That's very brave of you to do something like that, especially then when you have a proper job and it's a comfortable living. And then you left that. And how did you go about? And what did you do? You said, okay, I'm going to go walk a dog. How did that happen?
Believe it or not, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened, right? I said, hey, I just need to do something that's going to give me some peace. And being all dog lovers, we've all known that I think the one time that we really spend that one-on-one time is either walking or when we're bonding, either with training or playing or whatever, right, with the dog. So that gave me a lot of peace. I said, hey, I'm just going to do that. And I said, that's all. My goal for life was, again, believe it or not, was can I just earn like 20,000 rupees a month just walking dogs? That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who did you approach? I'm guessing you approached friends and family did you call them up? Was it cold calling and saying, hey, look here, I have some time on my hands. I'm going to go and you have, let's say, a tiger out there, and tiger being the dog's name. Can I come and walk tiger? Is that what you did?
Pretty much, So it was like I used to walk my dogs, and my friends were like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're whiling away your time. What can you do?" Right. So that was my skill set that I bring on, is basically bonding with the dogs. And they said, "Hey, my dog also needs walk, and we are busy working. Can you just come and walk my dog?" And I was like, yeah, sure, because I don't have, and I was just looking to walk dogs, right, as a way to connect, as a way to just sort of bring some sort of a peace and harmony into my life. And so I would, and that's what I told you, right? I didn't think about traffic. I didn't think about what time I need to go. Just go walk. I mean, it was really surprising because the neighbors would come to me and they'd say, "Who are you? Are you friend, family of the people? Because I see you coming in a car, you walk the dog, you go away. What's happening?" I said, "I'm just a dog walker." So,
I mean, I live in a gated community, and we have dog walkers, and there has, unfortunately, and then the good thing is that this connotation is changing. There is a connotation, and when people see somebody like you, they are gonna, and that's one of the reasons I introduced you like as a dog walker, because that's what you started off originally, and you still do that. That's a part of a core. It's a core part of your business that you are running, and you're fairly successful at it now. So, what kind of knowledge did you bring to it? I mean, how did you bring? Did you study about it? How did that go about happening after? Let's say you did it for a month, and then what?
So like every other interest area, right, or a passion area or a hobby. I think it started out more as a hobby, right, and as something that I can do something for some time. One thing led to another, and then I started getting quite a bit of inquiries, right? Typically, the neighbors of the dogs that I was walking, right, they also wanted to. So I started off slowly with that, but I also started realizing that, hey, is this something that I can do for life? And if I have to do something like this for life, obviously, one person cannot be doing this, right? So I need to have people with equivalent skill sets or develop the skill sets, identify such people. Again, coming from recruitment background, I think it just went back to that I need to find the right skill sets for the right job. We need to be quality conscious and things like that. So I myself, what I did was I said, even though I have done a lot of things, right, which is basically I used to breed dogs, I used to show dogs, I used to train dogs. Right. So
you had a little bit. You had some kind of a history with dogs before you actually went ahead and did this.
Oh yeah. Like I said, work was. I think my work was just supporting my dogs. I think, frankly, that's what it was. That's the only reason I was working at all.
And at that time, how many dogs did you have?
Oh, I ranged from anywhere between 3 dogs to, I think the highest point that I had was, I think, about 9-10 dogs at any point in time. I mean, if I exclude any kind of litters or anything, but I had quite a few dogs, right? At any point in time. So I had some amount of understanding, but I also said that I need to up my skills, right? So I went and trained under a gentleman called John Rogerson, who is originally from the UK. So I did a course under him, and he's a canine behaviorist. So I learned something from him, and then I started implementing that, doing consults, meeting other dogs, puppy training, behavior training, walking, because everything comes back to that, right? The more you bond with the dog, the more you understand the dog, the more you're able to give back to the dogs that you're walking, right? The right techniques of walking, what are the accessories that we can use, things like that. So it just kept snowballing, right? And then the willing to learn and pass it on to some other people, I think that really kept it snowballing, and that's what kept me going for about 10 years now.
Yeah, you've been doing this for 10 years. I mean, as I said, dog walking is one component of the business. That kind of snowballed into some other core competencies that you guys offer. Can you speak a little bit about that also? What else did that? And the name of your company is called Anvis Pet Services, I believe.
Anvis Pet Services. Anvis Inc, Anvis Pet Services. Yeah, we are mostly identified by Anvis. So that's it. Yeah, so exactly, Karan. So what happened was we were walking dogs, and then some pet parents whose dogs were walking said, "Hey, can you just take care of my dog while I'm gone?" So informally, like a pet sitting in my home, right? Informally, a pet sitting service was born. Somebody said, "Hey, you know my dog already. Do you mind keeping my dog in your home, because you already have dogs and you know how to handle them?" I said, "Fine." So we did home boarding. Somebody said, "Hey, can you organize a birthday party?" And then we also did some birthday parties, events, things like that. Relocation also was born just out of a need that some pet parent had. They were moving out, we were walking the dog. They said, "Hey, can you handle the dog while other things are getting done?" So we, at that point, I think it was all about what else can we do? What do people want? Somebody's coming and saying, "Hey, can we do this?" I'll be like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Right? So we took that, and then after that, it's all about learning, right? The initial you get one foot in the door, and then you start realizing that, hey, there are a lot more people who need this kind of a service, and a lot more people are looking at quality more than anything else. So we started learning about it, and then you start growing in that, and then you start connecting with like-minded people. Friends, families started joining the company, etc., etc. So today we have grown, and so we do offer professionally. We offer dog walking, pet sitting, home boarding, puppy training. We do consults.
My dog at the background, Pasha, is his time for his walk, and he's got someone coming to walk him, so he's very excited. You can actually hear him in the background. My apologies. He's not apologizing. He doesn't, but I apologize.
No, that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
So and that's how it materialized, and that's how it went ahead in your business and all that. But now I believe you are your Anvis Pet Services is not only in Bangalore. It has grown. You have a lot of people who offer your services and work with you, and it is available in different cities. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. So there comes a time again, right? A realization when we feel that, hey, we have garnered some amount of knowledge and we've made a lot of mistakes, and we want to pass this on to some other people, and the knowledge is obviously lacking. We feel that there is a need for this, right? A lot of people want to understand. A lot of people want to get into the pet space. They want to do something. So we said, hey, maybe this could be a right time to set up like an academy of sorts where we package everything that we have learned, and kind of mostly I think that's what I keep talking is about the mistakes that we have learned. We don't want someone else to do that, or the experiences that we want to put together. So hence we launched an academy called Alpha. So here what we do is we basically connect with anybody who's interested in learning about anything, right? It could be dogs, cats, behavior, breeds, communication, etc. Online courses are there. Also, people who want to get into the pet space, we train them, we also power them in the sense that they can offer pet services, and we are really helping them do that. And we call these people as our pet buddies. So our pet buddies are present predominantly in Bangalore, but we have also launched our services in Delhi, Gurgaon region, and we will be launching in Mumbai, Pune region as soon as perhaps the lockdown is lifted.
So this is dog training, dog walking, pet boarding, and you have someone. And in addition to, you guys also run these online courses and courses face to face as well. So you have multiple different offerings within your services that you provide for pet owners.
Right. So as a services, we do provide these, right? So we provide the dog walking.
Guys, I'm sorry for everyone. The link is written. I've written that right in front of you guys. alpha@anvisinc.com. Please go check it out. The site is live right now, and you can actually sign up, and Anand will be able to help you out with all your requirements for dog training. So I really recommend you guys go and have a look at it. Sorry, Anand, go ahead. And guys, there are a lot of people. We have a lot of people joining us from Singapore. Thank you, Linus, for pointing that out. Tanushree, we'll have Pasha eventually once he's back from his walk and he's eaten his food, and I'll put Pasha on for a bit. Sorry, go ahead.
No. So basically, that's what it is, right? So as a services, we provide a lot of services, but as an academy, we are also training people. We are empowering people who want to get into the pet space. Also, we are giving our knowledge out to people who just want to learn something new about the dog, why the dog is behaving the way it's doing. Is it a breed related one? Is it a behavior related one? Whatever it is. So there are two aspects to it. The services, we do continue to run it, but I think we will, as we scale and as we go bigger, we will continue to run it through our trained and certified. We also certify them. They're called pet buddies.
Okay. So how does so someone goes contacts you through Alpha, that Anvis Inc, or they contact you directly through your website or through your Facebook page. So somebody wants to be certified. How long is this certification, and how does one go about doing something like that then?
So typically, I think the first step is to take up the course, right? So somebody wants to do this, first they take up the course. Currently, we offer online module. There is also an offline bit which we will introduce once the lockdown things are all settled and things like that. So it's a 2-day thing. So the online bit, they can do it now during this time period, and then once things sort of settle in, then we will give a hands-on experience, which is basically have them touch and feel, the dog, techniques of walking a dog. So we do, like I said, we have our own dogs and varying different sizes, breeds, energy levels, and we will take them through pretty much a lot of things, right? Which is typically what are the accessories, leash, harness, how do we put that on? What are the techniques of walking? How do we sort of walk a dog that pulls? How do you ensure that, because different breeds, they know, right? So beagle, we say that, hey, you need to allow the beagle to smell a lot more, because the beagle becomes a lot more tired. You're walking a husky, you want to run much more rather than like laze around with the dog. That guy is bred for running.
These are breed specific requirements that you specialize in, because you know that every breed has a particular kind of requirement, and excuse me, because of your knowledge. And maybe some pet owners don't know that. Now, there are a lot of professionals here that I can see, and we have another professional who is asking us a question. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. We have Dinkar, who I believe has some beautiful dog, and you may know about him. He's asking you a question. Dinkar from Missouri is asking if what kind of boarding facilities do you have? We'll come back to what you were talking about for training. Let's answer some questions.
Sure. So we have two kinds of boarding facilities, Dinakar. One is, where we have it in a 12,000 square feet area, where we have about 10 rooms. Each room is like a 5x5, and we have 10 feet runs for each of the dogs. Plus, we have cottages where we ourselves stay, like our team members stay. So we also have dogs staying with us. So that's a little bit more like, we call it like a premium suite kind of a thing. But that's in enclosed in a larger area. So for bigger dogs, the dogs like to run, want to expel a lot of energy. That is one option. Second is what we call, through our pet buddies, what we call as a home boarding facility, which is typically could be a home which has a dog, may not have a dog. These do well for dogs that are either super pampered and want someone to be with them 24/7, or dogs that don't get along with other dogs and they would prefer an individual home. Dogs that are not very outdoorsy dogs, but more indoorsy dogs, right? So these are the two options that we have: home boarding as well as the normal boarding.
What about, going further in this question, what about nutrition? Let's say some dogs have a particular nutritional requirement. How do you go about solving that with the pet owner?
So before we take up any kind of services or provide any kind of service, we actually send them what we call as a pet information sheet. We collect a lot of information, right? From diet to exercise to allergies to who the veterinary doctor is, to pretty much everything that we need to know about that particular dog. So there are people who come back and say, hey, this is exactly the kind of diet that my dog needs to have. Sure, we can go ahead. We have customized options that we can provide. We can provide chicken and rice. We can provide packaged food. Whatever as far as diet is concerned, whatever the dog is used to, we will continue to, go ahead and we will continue to provide that.
Okay, so very similar to the question that Dinkar asked, Ashutosh Sundaram asked, how are they fundamentally different from other providers? What I can feel, I feel that there are a lot of people in the game. You have a lot of experience with you. You've been doing this for some time now, 10 years. You've been trained professionally. Also, that there is a little quality of service. So maybe you can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. Obviously, I think you touched upon the main points. But one thing that I want to definitely highlight is that it's just not me here who's the company. Although I keep talking about stuff, but we also have I have a whole team who come in with different areas of expertise, and that really is what makes up the team, right? We have Osha, who is really our in-house cat expert. So she had actually run India's first cat cafe. She does a lot of fostering of cats. At the moment, I think she has 3 of her own, and we lose count, right? She easily has about 5-6 cats.
This is back in Bangalore, right?
In Bangalore.
Okay.
So we have somebody called Preeti who comes in again. So she's used to be a breeder of wirehead dogs. So she has worked in a veterinary hospital, so she understands the medical aspect of it. So she's done a module for safety, basic safety and first aid for people. So we do have people who have come in as pet buddies, who have joined our team. I mean, who came into just becoming pet buddies, have just gone extremely well, right? They've had a lot of boarding requests. They've been great walkers. So they have come on board, who can then continue to talk with the current pet buddies to say how what challenges that they face, real like ground situations, and how to handle it and things like that. So I think we have we have like that host of people who come in with different skill sets, with different personalities, with different experience, which is what really makes us different from rest of the people. But I think one thing that we will always focus is, and as cliche as it sounds, I don't know, you might have heard this in TED Talks, is that always they will say that, hey, we are trying to make the world a better place. We also follow that, but we're just saying we're trying to make the world a better place for pets. So our focus has and always will be pets.
So we have Gina Nam, and I think you may know her, and she's talking
hi,
about
Gina.
She needs a behavior consultation. So how does somebody go about doing that with you?
So they can go onto the site, right? So alpha.anvisinc.com. They can go onto that. They can book a one-on-one session, or they can even write to us. There are emails that they can just write to us saying, I want a behavior consultation. So we will send a form saying, we'll capture all the details, background details. We'll say what is the behavior that you're looking at, or behavior modification that you're looking at. We will get onto a call with them. It's an online one. We will get onto a call with them, try and understand what the behavior issue is, and then only try and work through solutions or possible solutions, right? So it's very difficult. I know I see a lot of behavior questions going back and forth, but I try as much as possible not to do any kind of silver bulleting. I don't want to just provide a solution, because if you don't know the background, we may or may not get it right? And chances that we could end up doing something which is not okay. So we always take the information first. We speak to the pet parent, get a complete understanding, because sometimes pet parents think that it is a behavior issue. But many a times, one of the things we say is, let's do a health check first. And when they do a health check, they find out it's actually a health issue. It's not even a behavior issue, right? So they don't need a behaviorist, they need it. So we go through that before we figure out that, okay, this is a behavior, or what is it? And then we go through.
So what I'm getting from you a lot, Anand, is that we spend a lot of your time, and every dog is slightly different. They have their own personalities, they have their own requirements. Even the pet parents have a certain requirement, and you spend a lot of time with the parents as well as with the dog, and you take your time to understand what is the best solution. And these things take time. It's not like one solution fits everything. You got to go, take some time, spend time with the parents, spend time with the dog, and then come up with a solution tailor-made for that particular requirement that they have.
Absolutely.
And so I think number one is the amount of time you spend with them, and the quality of your analysis, the quality of your efforts, and this is all because of your experience in doing this.
Right. Absolutely. So we do fall upon our experience a lot. I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, we have come across so many situations. I used to do a lot of behavior consulting earlier. So there is a lot of, that I do dwell upon my past experiences and then try and see. And I think I'm just a big fan of understanding how dogs function. What was a dog bred to do, right? And you look at a dog and you see a terrier, and the first thing I look at it is, this dog was bred to go and pull out some kind of a vermin and kill it and stuff like that, right? So I just quickly connect, and then so that's the first thing that flashes to me.
Even though this is not part of my, we prepare these questions before for our discussion. It's not part of my question and answer with Anand today, but I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to stop you there for a second, Anand. And every breed, some people know this, some people don't know this, but most breeds had a purpose. Historically speaking, there are younger breeds. Some of the youngest breeds in the world is like somebody like my dog, which is German Shepherd, which has had a fairly recent invention, 1896. But there are other dogs, ratters, which you're talking about, which are something like a Spitz or a terrier. Can you speak a little bit about, because a lot of people don't do that. They go and get a beagle. And they go and get, let's say, a Cocker Spaniel, or they go and get a Golden Retriever without knowing their specific requirements. Can you speak a little bit about, expand on your talking about terriers and what you mean by actually getting vermin? And how did it come across? I remember they used to be in ships in England when they used to go across seas, and they were meant to go and find rats. But speak a little bit about that, please.
Sure. Okay. So, yeah, I think... breeds, right? So every breed has got, rightly said, right? Every breed has got a purpose. Now, some of the ones that we believe, or okay, it is historically believed that most dogs that are there of the current groups usually come from what we call as a hound groups, which would basically hunt using sight or using smell. And beagle is a
Give me an example of a sight hound.
A sight hound would be an Afghan hound. It would be a Saluki. Or if you look at the Indian indigenous breeds, you would have your Mudhol hound, Caravan hound. Like these are basically
a lot of our pet audience, let's keep the professionals and breeders out of this, but they don't know about the rich history of sight hounds in India. And some of the oldest breeds in the world are sight hounds, like a Saluki and the Afghan, a variant of the Afghan. So go ahead.
Yeah. So we have that, right? So we know that one breed or group, hunts by sight, right? These are the tall ones. They're sleek, slender. So the structure makes a huge difference to the way they can really run. These are marathon runners, right? And there's another one which is also belong to the hound, which is like your scent hounds, which we call the beagles, the bassets, your bloodhounds. And beagle, I think that's the thing with beagles, right? So a lot of people tend to look at a beagle and say, okay, this dog it's small, it's compact, it looks like it's got a short coat, and it actually fits very well into my apartment, right? But only when they bring that little fellow home, they realize that guy is like one dynamo, right? He's just constantly out there and he's like howling. So also beagles don't really bark. They say that they howl or they bay, right? So they're causing so much trouble, and people are wondering, I wonder where we went wrong with this little fellow. It fit all my check boxes, right? But then if you go back to the history, you'll see that beagles were, I mean, if you look at the old English, the nobility, they would go with the pack of these dogs, and these were the dogs that would actually go out, and when they see an animal like a fox or something, they would have to like bay in groups, right, to let the hunter know where they are. And that's also one of the reasons why they have this white tips on their tails, that people can see. But they are hardy dogs.
I didn't say that because when they go into the brush is so high, you can only see the tail pointing out above the brush, and that's one of their jobs because they're scent hound, and they go and collect the duck, or they go, and that's when you can follow the beagle. A beagle will go for miles, for kilometers. It will keep walking, and this is one of the problems I feel in the world. Actually, it's not only. I mean, every dog can be fit everywhere as long as you make the right environment and the right conditions for that dog. If you are going to train the dog, you're going to get a German Shepherd. It needs training. It needs exercise. Every dog needs exercise. A beagle will need a lot of exercise, and that is one of the fallacies. It's not an apartment dog. It's not going to go and sleep in the side of the corner. And maybe you can speak a little bit about that because this is your domain.
No. I mean, I can go on about this. I really enjoyed that. So when we do consulting, and we get a lot of people who are saying, "Oh no, this dog is getting destructive. Is doing, is not listening to me, and on the walk it doesn't listen." That's because that's what the dog. Because that beagle's nose is all that is there. They say that beagle is just a body fixed to that nose, right? That's all it is. And he gets a smell, and he can just keep going on and on. And that's one of the reasons why beagles are one of the breeds that get lost a lot. Not that they want, they just go from smell to smell to smell, and then suddenly they realize they are in some place, and they have no clue. As compared to a retriever who's just bred to go, bring, come back, right? So he knows where, and they say it's a star pattern, right? They'll go, they'll come back, they'll come back. So
my written here that once a beagle catches a scent, she knows that it has gone for 5 kilometers before even realize that their human is missing. I mean, that's completely. I mean, I know people who have lost their dog, and the dog is still going out about looking for the next scent. So these things are so common, and this is a breed specific characteristic. And so we guys, we have a very interesting session coming up in the next week with an expert on dogs and pets, and they can help you with that. So guys, please stay tuned for that. But Anand can speak a little bit about, is speaking a little bit about what are the requirements and what are the characteristics of particular breeds. And is it correct for a pet home? And what are the wrong dogs for a pet home? Can you touch up a little bit about that?
No, so I wouldn't really say wrong dog, as long as the family, and it cannot be a one-person decision to bring in a pet, right? Somebody likes a dog, somebody doesn't like a dog. There is going to be a clash at one point or the other. So it has to be a family decision. If there's a family has to agree on this. So we also do some consults for that, right? So we try and understand, what the family is, what's the social life, because you don't want to change your social life to accommodate all that the dog needs, because it will become very frustrating. The dog has to adapt to your environment, your family structure. So there are a lot of dogs that go in like that. So you need to understand that. Also need to address like if you bring a beagle, right? So I think one of the things that we always tell people is, if you have a beagle, do a lot of scent exercises with them, right? At home, in the garden, etc., just to get his mind sort of calm. You could run with him for an hour, but he'll still come back. His mind is still going to be energized. He's still going to be distracted. But spend 15 minutes.
That's a pro tip from Anand. Guys, please reach out to him, Anand, directly, because he's going to speak specific requirements. Not everybody has a beagle, but whoever has a beagle and is tuning into this, there you go. That's some advice. Anand can take you through specific exercises that he knows about, and specific training tips and techniques, and for the particular breed that you have. So do reach out to Anand on the links that we have provided before, or through his website, or through Facebook. Go ahead, Anand. You were talking about scent work tips for a beagle.
Yeah. So I mean, we come up with simple games, right? So you can take kibble, lay a trail, basically hold the dog on the leash, and you can do this for many breeds, because most breeds are very high on scent.
Can you give some more example of other dogs that we can do this with, in addition to?
You can do it with retrievers. You can do it with any working dogs. The scent work you can do it with. And when I say scent work, it's not really the high-end scent work that most people do. This is just basic to just engage the dog. It's like a kid giving it a Lego set to play, but they can think about it before they can put it together, right? Very, very simple. So you can try it with most breeds. Simple, you just lay a trail, and the trail goes to, but you have to hold the dog in one side, lay a trail, and the trail leads to something bigger, like a food, like a bigger treat, their kids, whatever it is, right? A favorite toy. But you have to hold it on a leash, because the dog has to smell, pick up the first treat, then it'll smell second treat, third, and then you lessen the trail as you go. Because what will happen is with dogs that are high on scent, they will just forget the smaller treats and they'll go right up to the big treat. If you have a chicken piece or something, they'll leave all this and they'll go to that. But the more you teach them to smell and it leads to something bigger, they will smell, they'll start using their mind. And it can be a great game of hide and seek as well.
I completely agree. So these are great tips, guys. Please reach out to, I keep saying it, reach out to Anand directly. Go to Anvis Pet Services, and they will be very happy to give you specific tips on your particular dog. We have Sahima here. She's come up with something, and I apologize to our viewers. She's a cat person. I believe you said that you have cat experts with you. Do you work with cats in any way?
We do work with cats. We do provide, ironically, we provide a lot of pet sitting services for cats. I see ironically, because usually most people, and I was under the impression that when you bring in cats, you're saying that cats are more independent as compared to dogs, right? They just do their own thing. You can leave them. But we've realized that so many people actually want someone to come in and sort of engage with their cat, play with their cat, feed them, clean their litter box, etc. So and they don't want to move the cats, because when you move cats, they get really stressed, right? To move them to either to a cattery or wherever, they get stressed. So I'd rather leave them at home, and we have pet sitters coming in. So we do work with cats on pet sitting, boarding. We do that. We also do a lot of cat relocation, pet relocation that we do. We do a lot of cats.
Okay, you spoke a little bit about relocation. You just mentioned it right now. I know that you are one of the original relocation experts. I'm sorry, Pasha is barking in the background. I apologize. It's time for his another walk, I'm guessing. I'm going to get him here. So tell me, how did that go about? I, as a kid, I traveled a lot abroad in the 80s, and we used to get dogs back from the States and from England. But that, no one else used to do that then. Can you speak a little? And I was a child, so I wasn't doing it, but you did this, and you do it professionally for a lot of people, and a lot of people are traveling all around the world right now, and you help them relocate their dogs. There was a comment earlier about you helping someone relocate a dog from India to Australia, which is very, very difficult, I believe. Can you speak about how did that come about, and what is the situation today?
Yeah. So relocation, of course, right? So I think it goes back to the same thing, right? We had somebody whose dog I was walking, and they had to move, and I remember it was to Malaysia, and then they said, and it was a German Shepherd, by the way, a huge, beautiful, like a big size fella. So,
this is to Australia.
No. This is, I'm saying, way back in 2010 or 11. My first relocation.
Okay, where did you relocate the dog to?
To Malaysia.
Okay, so, go ahead then. How did that happen?
So basically, we were walking the dog, and then the pet parent, I mean, they just knew that the dog was very comfortable. And being a German Shepherd, he wasn't very okay with a lot of other people coming so close to him very quickly and things like that. And with relocation, as you may be aware, right, we have to do a lot of vet checks. You have to go to a government-approved quarantine place where they will do some vet checks. We have to handle the dog, while putting him into the car.
When I was relocating with dogs, we used to get a dog back from England or from America. We just put him on the plane and nothing, and just need a vet certificate saying that he's fine, and that's it. You come to Delhi and no problem. They were looking, all the custom officials, we should look, and they say, they had no clue. I mean, the world has progressed. I'm talking in 89, 91, 92, but this is 30 years later. So, so tell me, now there's a lot of paperwork, rightfully so, that is required. There's a lot of, there are some countries which is a nightmare to go through. I think England is a nightmare to take your dog through. I think there are some quarantine problems over there. So what are easy countries? What are difficult countries?
So easier countries to move to will typically be, and I'm saying more from a paperwork perspective and from a regulatory point, it is US, Canada. Europe is all right. It's just that Europe has got a 3-month waiting. And also UK also, before earlier there used to be a quarantine, now it is not there. As long as we can finish the quarantine, it's called a home quarantine or a waiting period, cooling period, that you do after something called a rabies titer test. You can do that in India. And then you just pretty much fly in, you show all the correct documentation, you're pretty much through.
So if I was to go to the UK right now, I would, but there would be a home quarantine. What if I was flying via UK? Like, let's say if I was taking a connecting flight, is that not a problem anymore?
Not a problem. So if it's all about the destination, right? If your destination is, say, Paris, for example.
If I was flying to New York.
Yeah, if you're flying to New York via, say, London, right? And typically you would do a BA flight. So the dog has to be compliant for the US regulations. You can fly to BA as long as, because pets will be in what we call as the hold area or the pet holding area, which is, in some sense, it's a quarantine area, because the dogs or cats don't come out, they don't mix with other things. So there is no chance of anything spreading, right? So,
I remember in 1998, we were flying back from Washington, and we had 2 Persian cats, and 1 dog. And we were trying to fly back, and we didn't know about this UK regulation. And we spent the better part of 10 days struggling with the airlines once we got to know that our dogs had to, and we were flying British Airways, and we were via Washington DC, and then we had to change our flights, and we paid a lot of money right in the end, because our dogs and our cats and our dog were going to be in quarantine for 6 months, and he said that's a no-go. So it's very good to hear this. I mean, I'm sorry, this is off on a tangent, but good to hear it, and that England doesn't have such draconian rules anymore, like the way they had before.
A lot of countries.
Go ahead.
No, I said a lot of countries have changed regulation for the better. There are also a lot of countries that have made it tougher. For example, India, bringing a dog into India is just impossible. Before we could just bring in a dog, but now for whatever reason, right, for a lot of complications, bringing a dog into India is one of the tougher countries to bring dogs into India.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that there was a blanket ban. I think there was a ban that was put on the import of dogs for some reason or the other. We won't go too much into it right now. Talk about how is other countries. What are the slightly more difficult countries? Because we have people who are, we have you over here. You're an expert. You're one of the original people who relocated dogs in India. And a lot of people decide about which country to go to. I mean, who love their dogs, and it's a surprise to them that they can't take that. So how are countries like Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah, so Australia, New Zealand for sure, right? One of the more tougher countries. Reason being that it's a very longish process, and that we cannot just export pets from India into Australia, New Zealand. It has to go through like an approved country. So, for example, Singapore is an approved country. So there's a 6-month waiting before you run rabies titer. You need to wait. You need to run another rabies titer in an approved country, and so on and so forth. We use Singapore a lot to send pets to Australia just because of its en route. And that
what do you mean by a 6-month approval process? So in an approved country, India is not an approved country, I'm guessing. So what does that mean, logistically speaking? So the dog has to stay in a country for 6 months.
So simply put, it is that rabies has been eradicated. Simply, one of the things is that rabies has been eradicated in countries like Australia and New Zealand. It is very well controlled in countries like, say, Singapore, Dubai, places like India. Ours is well spread, right? So what we do is we have to run something called a rabies titer to make sure that the pet does not carry that, and then go into an approved country, which is second level check, where they'll again run all the tests and all that. So the 6-month time period is the time that they will evaluate to see if the pet picks up anything in the 6 months. Because if anything has to change or any diseases have to come in, etc., either it will show up here before exporting from India, or they'll pick up in the approved country. So again, they will stay in the approved country where they will run tests, etc. And only on producing all these documents saying that we have covered all this, we've waited for such a long time. Here are all the documents with Australia, New Zealand even allow pets to come in from countries where rabies is uncontrolled.
And you are an expert who helps people with every stage of that process, the logistics of it. And obviously, there is a certain amount of cost to every country. It varies according to which country you're going to do that. So let's say you had to relocate a dog to Australia. So that process is obviously 6 months at the minimum, because it has to go through an approved country. But where did the dog stay in Singapore, which is an approved country then?
So we have very good relations with a lot of pet relocators, agencies across the globe, because we are a part of this organization called IPATA, which is International Pet Association, Transport Association. So all the relocators, we are a part of this. And we have we have in Singapore, we have our partners who are almost like family, rather, I will say. And we generally go through them, and they really take care of pretty much everything that needs to be done at the Singapore side. So what we do is we start the process here, we complete that, then we hand over the pet to them. In many cases, I fly with the pet, hand it over to them, then they take over. They do all that, and then they ensure that the pet reaches Australia. While for the pet parent, I can still be the single point of contact and making sure everything's okay. So we go through the entire end-to-end process.
So can you guys, these things are expensive. Having a dog is expensive, but if you are considering relocating with a dog, obviously it's something which is an obvious expense, and you would do that. Can you talk a little bit about how much would it cost to relocate a dog from here to Australia versus here to Canada or here to America?
It's very difficult to put a price on it, because it depends on the size of the dog. It depends on the mode of you're traveling, right? If you're sending the dog by cargo, it's slightly more expensive. If you're traveling with the pet as what we call accompanied baggage or checked baggage, is slightly less expensive. There are certain breeds like snub-nose dogs and cats are not allowed on certain airlines, etc. But just to give you a range,
give us an example of 2-3 snub-nose dogs. So
so snub-nose will typically be a pug. I mean, everybody must have seen, what a pug is.
Yeah.
French bulldogs are snub-nose. If you see in slightly the bigger dogs, you will see boxers are snub-nose. In larger size, you have mastiffs, right? So they are also snub-nose. So you have a range of snub-nosed dogs. Cats, you have Persians, of course. I think they're by far the most well-known snub-nosed cats.
Yeah. So this is these. I mean, there is a reason because they have problems with breathing and their complications, and that's why the airlines refuse to carry the dogs on as cargo or in the hold. Am I correct? That's the reason that they are not allowed to go on.
Right. So basically, the whole understanding is that snub-nosed dogs, because of the breathing issues, right? It's called the cleft palate, which is basically the air circulation is not completely, doesn't go in and doesn't get control to the environment, and then by the time it comes back, so chances of dogs getting heat strokes are very high. And when you transport from one country to another, because of weather variations, the flight compartment is always air pressurized, and it's at a much lower temperature, right? Say between 16, 17, 18 degrees to about 21, 22. Suddenly, if the dog is taken out in Dubai, where the temperature is about 45, 50, the snub-nosed don't have as much, right? By the time the dog is coming out, it hits the temperature, and then they don't have that much time. With longer snout dogs, what happens is because of this snout, there's a little bit of air circulation, which is like faster, and then they are able to regulate their body temperature. Having said that, we never ever, I don't think anywhere, we move dogs or cats right from a flight to the tarmac. There's always temperature controlled vehicles, and then they go in there.
So that this leads me into my other question. Musarat, my wife, has asked about what are good airlines, because it also depends on airline to airline about the kind of training these airlines have. So let's say if I was going to Canada, what would be a good airline for me to consider if we were doing that?
See, depending on size of the dog, right? Because different airlines have also got restrictions on size. But one of the airlines that we have worked with extensively, and we find that they're very good with pets, is Lufthansa. We have also worked with Emirates. We have worked with Air France. We have worked with KLM. But by far, if you really put it, the top two airlines would typically be Lufthansa and Emirates. Depending on, and I'm saying this in a generic way, where they will take a lot more dogs, different sizes of dogs. They cover a lot more destinations. But within Southeast Asia, you can look at Singapore Airlines. They're really good with handling pets, but they have a lot of restrictions in kinds of breeds that they take, and cats, dogs, whatever, and sizes.
We haven't spoken about it. There are certain logistical requirements. You have to get a particular kind of a crate for your dog. So you want to speak a little bit about that? Let's say I have a German Shepherd. I want to take my German Shepherd to, let's say, New York. As I said, I have a big German Shepherd, one of the larger ones that are in the country at the moment. For some reason I don't understand. He's about 45 kilos, just a dog. And we're working on Pasha right now, but he's a large dog. So let's take my example. How do I take him to New York City?
So one of the first things we do is we measure the dog, because like you said, right, German Shepherds can vary from, I have seen German Shepherds at 25 kgs to 45, 50 kgs, right? And German Shepherds are more lengthier than they are square. Boxers are a little bit more squarer. So we want to measure the dog. We want to find out what is the length, what is the height, what is the width. And then we decide what is the crate size. So there are two kinds of crates. One is available crates. There are standard crate sizes that are available. And I'm saying, if you're saying your dog, German Shepherd, he's already big size, then what we can do is we'll have to customize a crate. A wooden crate we'll have to customize such that he has enough space to sort of turn around. He should be able to stand without his head hitting, because takeoff, landing, we don't want the dog hurting himself, right? He should be able to turn around such that he should be able to sleep well. You customize it, and then based on that, then we look at our options. Because based on that crate size, weight, what are the airlines? First, we shortlist on pet-friendly airlines. So we have, say, for example, to Delhi, let's say Delhi to New York, we have Lufthansa, we have maybe Swiss Air, we have KLM, we have Air France. We could probably do BA via London. So
I heard that Air Canada is supposed to be quite good as well.
Sorry, which one?
Air Canada, even though it's
Air
not
Canada. Yeah, there's no direct flight. So code shared will not take pets. So half sector, say from here to Frankfurt, if it's run by Lufthansa, and the other sector is being operated by, say, Air Canada, they will not carry pets, because technically they say that handover between one operations to another operations, they will not do handover of pets. So it has to be a single carrier.
So like a single carrier. Then let's take one of these things to New York. So what happens then? Let's say my dog is 45 kilos plus the weight of the box. So is there like a limit on how much they will take?
Yeah, so unfortunately, as of Jan 2020, Lufthansa, Swissair, they have put a ban they have actually not put a ban, but they brought in a restriction on the size and weight. So there's a crate size that we know what we call as a 700 series, which is the really largest fiber crate.
I know has it 48 inches, I believe.
Yeah, 48 to 35.
Yes, that's he's in that crate. I mean, I know because I like to crate train my dog as since so sometime I've been working on it because I think it's it has a lot of other benefits, crate training.
Right.
But I believe he has the largest one, so that's the largest size. Is that allowed in Lufthansa?
No, as of Jan 2020, no. Unfortunately, are not taking. So in this case, what happens is we generally recommend that we have to check the pets in as. So when I say not allowing, I'm talking in specific about you flying with the pet and checking the pet with you as an excess baggage. But they will carry the pet as what we call as a cargo, which is basically we check the pet in separately from the cargo hold. So that time we can do the wooden crate. The pet can fly from Delhi to on Lufthansa.
So can fly as cargo, but I'd be in the same plane with him. It would be exactly the same thing, but it would be a different. This would be a different designation for it.
No, so you could be on the same flight. It's just that what happens with cargo is that, say, for example, if you do a company, like if you're flying normally, you will probably try and find the shortest layover, right? In like, say, if you're doing Lufthansa, you'll probably find the shortest layover at Frankfurt. But when we do cargo, they say usually airlines will want a minimum 5.5 hours layover time because they'll have to take the dog out, go to the hold area, or Frankfurt has got an animal lounge area where the dogs get checked, looked, and just a once over is given. So and then by the time they come back, so they need a minimum time frame. So 5.5 hours is like a thumb rule. So unless you are okay with making sure that your flights coincide with his flights, it's all right, it's doable. But otherwise, his flights will be different. Sometimes if you don't have a connecting flight immediately after that 5.5 hours, because they have connections, right? So sometimes the dogs need to wait for a longer time at the transit point, but it's doable.
So we have Weasel who's saying that KLM is still allowing dogs to go to via the slightly larger crates. Is that correct?
On the 48 crate size, yeah, that is right. KLM will allow the 48 one. We could use
KLM will allow a larger dog thing. So maybe if I wanted to go to New York, I could take. Not that I am, but it's good to know for people who have larger breeds. Is what I'm trying to ascertain. And let's say a large bull, not a bull mastiff, but let's say a big Labrador. Or they can go on maybe KLM and they can consider. The reason I'm saying this because there's a slight cost difference between going cargo versus going as excess baggage. Excess baggage is slightly cheaper.
Right.
In fact, half the price is what I believe. I think it's
much. I think it will be much lesser, right? It will be almost like 1/3. Because you just have to pay excess baggage, and there are certain slabs. Some go on piece concept, some go on weight concept, but it's much lesser than cargo.
Okay, we have Aditya Shukla and a bunch of other people who have asked about. Yes, I mean you can relocate a dog abroad, but a lot of people want to relocate dogs in India. So how does one go about doing that? And what are the good airlines for that?
See, unfortunately, we don't do domestic relocation purely because I think we have struggled quite a bit with the airlines, and they keep going back and forth on the regulations. One day, SpiceJet is saying that they will carry, and the second day they're saying they will not carry. So we're not very sure of how the system is working, and we are not getting that kind of a confidence. So we don't really do a domestic, but we do. Like wherever it is close by, right? We drive down. Like say from Delhi, we try and drive down to closer places. Like from our hub in Bangalore, we try and drive down to like the south state.
I believe that when Jet Airways used to exist, used to be quite a haven for pet relocators and for professionals used to go because they were allowed. It was a lot easier. There was a standard rate, I believe. I believe Air India lets you do that. They don't have if I'm not mistaken, Air India has some kind of solution to it, but I don't know how good their facility is. I think, and the other option, I mean, you're talking about driving, but you could always take in Air India, Indian Railways, and you could book a first-class coach and even though that's expensive, it'll probably be the same price as a ticket. And you book the entire coach, first class, and you can take your dog from here to the other part of the country. I'm sorry, let me. My dog is here, and I would like to take my. Come on, Pasha, take it. Yeah, like you'll take. You'll be able to see him there. There you go. That's Pasha. He's a big dog.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he is a big fellow. How old is he?
He is 7. He is 7.5. And wait. So for everybody, you guys have seen Pasha now. Pasha will come up. He doesn't want to come up. Go ahead. Sorry, Anand. So there are different kinds of ways to solve this, but I can understand the logistical problems and the bureaucracies dealing with Indian Airlines. And I think it's a lot simpler to just put the dog in the train, or maybe just drive down with your dog. My wife relocated from Bombay in 2014, and she had rescued a Labrador, which is our second dog, Muttley. And she used to dog sit, and then she rescued him and adopted him. And then she flew, and she got a new job in Delhi, and she moved to Delhi, and she flew via jet in that time. And that's how that happened. And so we have a little bit of experience of relocating a dog within the country. But it's good to know that that's how it is. So go ahead then. How many dogs have you relocated around the world?
I think we'd easily done about 2,000 plus pets through these years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you travel a lot with the dogs.
That is one of the service I provide. Yeah. So there are times when people say, "Hey, can you?" And this also again happened by accident. One of the pet parent who wanted to take her dog with her, and she actually had to join her work, and then we had to send the dog by cargo. Cargo put an embargo because it was a bulldog. Basically, she was a bulldog, and Snub-nose. So she said, "Why don't you fly?" And it was almost like that, right? She said, "Hey, I would have flown with the dog, but I'm not there. But why don't you fly?" And I had no clue. I mean, I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what. She said, "Can you figure it out and do this?" I said, "Okay." And that's how I started. And then I mean, one thing led to another. I think I've been lucky that way that a lot of the things I didn't have to really strategize and plan and say, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. It just came my way. I said, okay, let's take it. One thing led to another, and then I do quite a bit. I mean, at least till about last year, I think I was every month I was pretty much flying to one country or another with some pets. But that's not something that I know that I mean, I just enjoy. I do that. To be very honest, I do that because I love to see that reunion, right? Wherever I take the pet and then I see the dog or cat going bonkers. Okay, not cats as much, but dogs definitely, right? Going bonkers when they see their pet parents and pet parents going bonkers.
There are cat lovers who would disagree. But, I've had cats in my life. We had at some point, we had 12 cats and we got them abroad and the cats didn't care. They just didn't care about it. Had a good and comfortable place to stay, and they would acknowledge our presence, and they said, okay, fine, whatever. Now we have, the dogs, the reunions. My dog, if I leave the house, if I go for 5 minutes outside and I come back, he behaves like he hasn't seen me in 2 years.
I know, right?
My dog behaves. So, maybe we are very needy of that kind of affection as human beings. But what can you do? What can you do about stuff like that? It's fantastic owning a dog, and you have that. You agree with that kind of an emotion, and we're very lucky to be loved by our dogs, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
And we need people like you, Anand, to help us, because for a lot of people, unfortunately, at this situation, things are very uncertain, but eventually things are going to get better. People are going to still move around the world. There'll be Indians who will move abroad, and there'll be foreigners who will move to India. And we need people like you to help them. We have another individual who's talking about Varun and Vani. We have Weasel who are pioneering this this facility, this service. And I really implore everybody to reach out to Anand over here to get advice if you guys are deciding to move or to get your dog. I remember Weasel whenever I'm at office with Rana at DogSpot. They are Weasel is busy giving advice, or there's somebody joining in and relocating the dog to maybe to different parts of the world, and it's fascinating. They have this board, and they were relocating a dog to Madagascar, and I was saying, what? That's brilliant. That people have that love for their dog, and they're doing something like that.
Yeah, no, Wiesel is a rock star. When I've seen her, I have never seen her saying no to a pet parent, right? And she will be like, and she'll always give me that confidence, right? And we used to work. I mean, we still work like a lot with Wiesel, so she will never ever say no, right? And I will be like, hey, Wiesel, we need to send this dog to some Timbuktu. She'll be like, sure, no problem. I mean, like, you need to have that kind of thing, because relocation is not an easy thing, right? You need to go through so many things. So I love working with Wiesel and her never say die attitude, right? So I know Wiesel is watching. Wiesel, thank you so much.
Wiesel, you're her mentor and in Pet Relocation, and there's a mutual admiration club going on over here, which is fantastic. So guys, we have an expert over here. We have an expert in Wiesel. We have more experts on our forum watching this right now, and we're very lucky to have everybody over here, and we have these facilities. Can you speak a little bit about how the situation is changing right now? I believe everyone is taking a hit. No one is traveling. What do you expect is going to happen in dog relocations, especially with the airlines in the next coming months?
Right. No, so relocations will happen, right? So people will move, will travel. I think it is just a slight, bump in the road, because at the moment we have a lot of pets who are staying with us. People have moved. They are stuck in different places. The dogs, cats are staying with us, and so once airlines start operating, I think it's time that we reunite all these, the pets with the people. But we will definitely. I think there will be a few months where, at least that's what I believe. There is going to be a few months when people are just going to, at least the critical ones where they don't really have to move, or they're planning to move. We'll all kind of put this on hold to see how the situation around the globe is going to be, how Europe is reacting, how US is reacting, etc. But I think once we have the situation under control, I think things are going to be back. So it is just a matter of time. So I'm positive that it will. It's just that we need this breather, but I think it will bounce back like every other industry.
What do you feel is going to happen with the costs? Obviously, I would imagine the costs are going to go up slightly, if not significantly.
Yeah, costs are going to go up, right? I do believe that is true, because airlines themselves, so they are going to be using their cargo space, and that's going to become a lot more valuable, right? So whether we like it or not, moving pets form a very, very small, insignificant piece of for the airlines when it comes to the airlines, they're just doing it because I think that it's just about pets, right? So they want to be a part of it, and they want to help people reunite and things like that. So I don't think it's a business thing at all. However, I think given essentials versus pets, I think there will be many times that we may perhaps not get bookings. Maybe essentials have to go out first. Maybe, I don't know, medical supplies have to go out. So they will always put pets last. So even now we do have that thing, right? So we never mix seeds with pets. We don't mix medicines with pets, right? So or mortal remains with pets. So things like that. So there is always a hierarchy over there. So I believe depending on the situation, airlines will take a call. So the price is going to become a slightly higher, but again, I think it is just that initial few months while things are sort of settling down. So I would suggest for people who are not in a hurry and it's not critical is to just wait it out. I'm sure most people are going to do that. But once things stabilize, I think we should be back to normal.
Yeah, we have another expert who's pitching in. We're going to actually request him to actually join us also eventually. But, things are uncertain right now. No one really has all the answers. I see things are changing every day. I don't know what the situation is in Bangalore right now, if things are better over there or not. But, as we are moving away from, we're lockdown 3.0, but as things get better, as people start moving out and around, we shall see how it affects. I mean, I'm sure you are aware of certain things, but you don't know it definitively. And eventually, people will have to move around. Maybe we'll have to do it in a different way. Maybe things will be slightly more expensive, but the world has to go on. and we are hoping we're keeping our minds positive, and hopefully it'll be a better place for animals as well. And we have to make them a priority. That's why we have this channel. That's why we have experts like you, and we need more people like you. We need more people like Visual and our other experts. So it's fantastic. Do you want to talk about a little bit about your? I mean, we've spoken at length about pet relocation, about your boarding facility. It's in Bangalore, and you spoke about pet buddies who are affiliated and certified by you guys. What kind of facilities are you looking at? What is the future for you guys in different cities?
All right. So we have about, so far in the last year and a half that we have been running the training program, we have certified over, I will not say certified. So basically there's a training that they go through first when they become pet buddies. So we have about 180 people who have gone through this and who are actually providing services, different kinds of services. They're either doing dog walking, they're doing pet sitting, they're doing home boarding. Some of them are doing puppy training, things like that. So we believe that, I think, I don't know, going forward, we believe that we want to take the same model to different cities across, because I think end of it, that's what it comes down to. What is the kind of quality that we can offer? Because we have a boarding facility at our place. And like I said, although we have some space and we can keep, but we know that we can keep only about, 15, 17. We can't have more than that. And at any point in time, when, especially during festive seasons, people are traveling, summer times, etc., there is suddenly a huge surge of so many pets and and all that. So we want to make sure that we have as many places, as many good quality people who love pets, right? So that's the whole idea. People who come in who are our pet buddies are all either pet parents or really pet lovers or miss their pets, etc. So that is really the secret sauce that we look for when someone comes in here. They start off by providing some kind of services under our guidance, and then we are constantly guiding them, telling them the nuances, do's and don'ts, etc. So again, we are trying to try and give all this experience that we have gained over the last 30 odd years, that we want to try and tell them, hey, don't do this, this is right, this is wrong, etc., etc., till such time that they start doing it on their own. So we guide them and then put them on. Purely because I think it is just that one is a learning that we want to give out. We want to make sure that every pet that goes into any kind of a service should not get compromised just because pets, and I think this is what I say, right? Pets and kids, they cannot talk, right? They cannot tell. A kid cannot come back to you and really complain about what happened in the crash, right? Similarly, dogs, they cannot come back and say whether the food that was served was chicken and rice or what is just, some rice soup, chicken soup that was mixed with rice and then given, right? So, and we should at no means be taking any kind of advantage. In fact, we should be a lot more kinder to that, because they cannot. None of my clients, and I call all these dogs or cats my clients, right? They cannot go on social media and complain about whether I did my job or not, right? So, so that's what we try and tell our pet buddies as well, is you stick to providing the service. Everything else will sort of fall in place, and we are there. We are constantly there to help support. We take care of the managing the pet parent. We take care of the marketing. We take care of the collection. We take care of everything. They just have to take care of the pet. They don't need to do sales. They don't need to get their mind muddled into any of these things, right? All the administrative, non-essential, as far as I'm concerned, we take care. They just have to be 100% focused on the pet.
What are your plans for, as we move away and we're getting better, our restrictions are easing up a little bit over the next month to 2-3 months, as things become better and we can move around and a little bit more? What are your plans for places like Delhi and Bombay?
See, at the moment, I think we are, ideally, this is what we're looking, this whole thing about getting our knowledge, to the whole team's knowledge together. I think we have been planning this for a very long time now. And while things are going and while we are doing the other services and all, it gives us very little time. So we should conduct one workshop a month. That's all the time that we had, that we could impart this knowledge and all that. So somehow, in some sense, I feel this lockdown has given us some kind of a breather, and we were able to put all this knowledge together into an online form in less than, I will say, 2 weeks, because we had the time. We just had to put stuff together, right? So we feel that that's something that we want to continue to do, right? As much as we can, we want to put it into an online form which is out there for people to consume, pet parents, pet lovers, people who wanted to get space, they can consume that. Once the lockdown situation eases, because people are also going to now, I think the way people are going to work is going to change, how people are going to travel is, a lot of things are going to change. But of course, once it starts taking up, because we also feel that the time lost is now people, once work starts coming and people will probably jump into their work with lot more, they'll have to give in lot more hours, which means we don't want the pet to kind of at any point suffer. So we need to be there. I mean, if they can, great. If not, I think we are building the team and we are keeping everybody ready such that in case there is a need or there's a huge flow of this requirement, we should be able to sort of handle it. So that's what we are using this time period, because we also feel that, see, the dogs and cats have got, I don't know about the cats, I keep saying this about cats, it's not that I'm not a complete dog. I know Osha is going to kill me for saying this, but cats are independent, right? They are okay as long as you feed them and do that. Dogs get so damn attached to us, and we also get attached to cats as well. But the thing is, they have seen us being at home for such a long time that 24/7 we are with them. So suddenly you leave them and you jump back to work, they will sense that void. Kids will go to work, people will start working, they will sense it. So I always say that phase it out, because I think this is the time that we need to put a structure that you think you will be doing in 2 months from now. Just because today you have the time, don't take your dog out for, play with him, 20 times a day. And then suddenly 2 months down the line, you stop that dog is going to really feel left out, right?
I think that's good advice, because we have been warning people about the amount of time you're spending with your dog. There has to be a little bit of alone time. That's the reason that I have a crate. I give Pasha his crate time. He has to spend an X amount of time in the crate. He has to spend an X amount of time in the room alone. And we don't go, even though we are in the room next door. Otherwise, there is this separation anxiety that develops and especially in my German Shepherd. I mean, German Shepherds are known for these things. But there are other dogs who will feel the same way. So guys, Anand has given great advice about building structure, giving your dog or your pet or even your cat, even though cat doesn't really need it, some little bit of separation, because eventually things are getting back to normal. There are a lot of people who are actually going to office right now, and they have started. So guys, please be aware that the dog does not understand this. So start training them. If you don't know how to do so, if you don't know the right way of doing it, Anand's information is right here. Please go ahead and check it out. Give him a call, give his organization a call, give DogSpot a call. We are more than happy to help you guys out. We have experts coming every day and talking about it. It's very important. Anand, thank you so much. We have spoken for more than an hour, and and you have given us such valuable advice, such valuable tips, and we are so lucky to have you talk to us, especially about all the services that you are providing. We need more people like you, and all of our audience members can benefit from your services. I really, again, have everyone, please check out their website. Please call them up. They're going to come up with some kind of solution for your problems with your dogs or your pets or your cats also, maybe. So you call up Anand, and hopefully he'll be able to help you with your requirements. Anand, I'm going to, with that, we're going to take your leave. Thank you so much for taking time out and talking to DogSpot. And hope to catch you again. We're going to have you again online here then.
Sure. Thank you so much, Karan and DogSpot, for having me on this, and so that I could share some bit of experience. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you. You're welcome. See you soon, Anand.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.